Okay, hey, we're just finishing up module 1, and we're going to talk to Robin about her experiences with some of these exercises and some profound impact that it had on you as you went through these exercises. What I'm really excited to talk to you about, because you've already shared with me a little bit about this other exercise, and I am super excited about where this is headed in your life, because I think this is very powerful and very profound. So the second exercise we're talking about is going back to our childhood and looking at some circumstances from our childhood and how we attached meaning to it and how that has shaped your life, and some of the conversations that you and I have had now out of that. I think this is a super profound exercise. Don't miss this exercise. So the exercise is to look back at your childhood, share with us kind of what you found when you actually started looking back and you actually started writing.
Okay. Well, first of all, I had a really hard time coming up with something. So I oftentimes would just say, this is just too hard. I can't even think of anything. I'll move on to the next thing. But I didn't. I made myself stay in it and just sit and think. And I thought of positive things, negative things, family things, outside of family things. And the situation I came up with was in school with a teacher. And so when I was in grade school, do you want me to tell the story?
Yeah, tell the story. This is a great story.
So when I was in grade school, like fourth grade, we had a spelling bee every week. And my teacher, Mrs. Hightower, my favorite teacher, was asking us to, spell these words. So the prize was a candy bar. Well, very soon after we started doing spelling bees every week, the only candy bar she bought was my favorite candy bar, which was a Butterfinger at the time, because I won every week. I was a very good speller, and I always won.
And so she bought your favorite candy bar. Don't worry about buying any others, because Robin's going to win again.
Yeah. So that was cool. It was fun. It was exciting. I felt good about myself. I was proud of myself. And then I realized that I also felt like other kids were jealous of me. And I wanted them to like me. I wanted to be liked. I wanted to fit in. And so the meaning that I attached to all of that was that I needed to make myself smaller and be more in the background and not stand out like that and not be the winner, because I wanted everybody to like me.
So you saw or perceived, because It wasn't like you said, it wasn't like kids were going.
No, I don't remember anyone saying anything to me.
They were outwardly judging you, but you had a perception that if you were up front or if you were recognized, they would see you and judge you for that.
Yeah.
And so you stepped into the background. How else did that show up in your life? I mean, unpack some more of your story, that not just the spelling bee, that kind of is what initiated this whole concept for you, or this belief that you've discovered. Where else did that show up?
Well, in junior high, I was in band and concert band and in stage band. I played the tenor saxophone. And not everybody's in stage band. You had to be like pretty good at what you were doing to be in stage band, right? So anytime I was asked to do a solo, which I was capable of, my teacher thought I was, knew I was, I didn't want to. I refused. And someone else got that solo because I stepped back.
So you stepped back into the background again. I
was happy to be part of the stage band, it was a jazz band, basically, but I didn't want to be in the spotlight.
And that now what you're discovering is that because you felt like people were going to judge you and not like you, or somehow you're putting yourself apart from that.
Right.
And then
like I was better than them.
I'm better than you. Yeah. Nobody's saying that, but you're feeling that.
Right.
Let's talk football.
Yeah. So then in high school, we always had a girls' powder puff game. And I was clearly should have been the quarterback. I was the best player, had the best arm, you know, I should have been the quarterback. I was asked to be the quarterback, and I didn't want to be the quarterback because that was like the star player. That's the main position, right? In the spotlight. So I refused and stepped back, and a friend of mine stepped up who was very confident, like wins at everything she does kind of person, and she was the quarterback. I was the center, the nose guard.
Could be quarterback,
shined as the
or
nose
it could
guard,
be the nose guard.
Yeah.
So here's what I love about this story, though, your journey and this exercise. So when you stepped into this exercise and you started to write it, how did just writing it?
I think that was a really big key to this because, again, as I was thinking about it, just writing it down, once I came up with the idea that I wanted to write about and just writing that story, then spurred other thoughts of, that I'm answering the questions. How did this situation make you feel? What did people say or do or whatever? And how did that make me feel? Well, I just stop. Again, if I'm not doing an exercise, I'm not stopping to think about all those feelings.
I think that's profound.
So just the fact that I'm doing this course, I'm doing these exercises, and I'm committing to doing them, not just playing at it, So just that pen to paper, I think, is a really key part of that. That helps our brain engage in a different way than if we're even just sitting thinking about something.
Yeah.
There's something about writing it down, and so our brain is thinking it, seeing it, hearing it inside our head, reading it, all those kinds of things, and that causes our brain to kick in and come up with more thoughts, more ideas.
Yeah. So now let's take that. How has that, when you're stepping here and you're looking back on your life and you look at how that shaped your life, how did that limit you? What was the limiting belief? Nail the limiting belief for us, and then talk to us about how that shaped your life.
Well, I think the belief that I got out of that was that I need to make myself smaller so that I don't stand out and that everybody will like me.
Yeah. The belief that if I'm up front, if I'm pursuing greatness, if I'm doing these things, I will be judged. I will be perceived as that. So how did that shape your life? I mean, I'm 59.
I'm 63.
63. This happened in grade school, where you discovered that 9 years old, you're starting to attach meaning to a spelling bee. 50 years.
I think that it has profoundly affected my life, and I've chosen to often be in the background. And I've had lots of opportunities to be up front. And sometimes I do it, but I don't enjoy it. I don't, in my head, I'm telling myself, that's really hard. You don't want to do that.
That's not me.
That's not me. Yeah.
Identity, shaped identity to where now you believe that you are a behind the scenes person.
Right.
You are a background person.
Right.
Let my husband do this.
I'll just watch. I'll just cheer him on because he's a leader. He's a mover and shaker. That's not me.
Yeah.
But
which is an identity statement.
Yeah.
That's not me. Really? Who said?
Yeah. Time and time again through my life, I've been asked by others to step into leadership positions. So they're seeing something in me.
Just like your teacher saw in you, just like your coach saw in you, just like the band teacher saw in you, just like throughout your life, people have seen greatness that you could excel in an area.
Yeah.
But you said, that's not me.
Right.
And
so I have taken myself out and done other things, done smaller things.
Yeah. How do you think that's impacted our world? See, here's where it gets tough. Because if I asked that question and asked you to write about that, you would start thinking deeply about that. But let's think about that for a minute. When you think of Robin's story and you think about how that belief kept her in the background, who did it rob? It robbed all the people that could have been impacted by your upfrontness, by your stepping into a different role, different. You see, we've accepted I'm a behind the scenes, and yet I've been in groups with you, and you're quiet, and you're quiet. But there was a statement that was made when we were pastoring, and we were in a group, and somebody said, "Oh, Rob's talking. When Robin talks, everybody should listen. When Robin talks, everybody should listen." See, the others went, "What? Robin's talking." Because when Robin talks, she's got something deep and profound to say. But if Robin never talks, then the people are robbed of what she has. So when we just stay in the background and we limit ourselves, and that belief that limits us, I think that's the word. It limits not just us in what we could, the fulfillment we could have in life, and the potential we could have for ourselves, and the accomplishment we can have in ourselves, but it also limits what we have to give to others. Mm-hmm. And so in a way, that belief that you're busting through right now, which I think is so super cool, is, can you change your beliefs at 63? Absolutely.
I hope so.
You can bust through that, and now look at what's possible. Up to this point, it's the background. You had an encounter in London that actually started a blog. What was the name of your blog?
No Longer a Bystander.
And why did you want to no longer be a bystander? Because
I had spent many years watching you do fun things and exciting things and travel to different places and excel at things and accomplish things. And I was happy for many years just being your cheerleader and just watching you do that and supporting you in those causes. And I just kind of, in London, it really hit me that, I'm kind of tired of standing on the sidelines. I think it's time for me to actually get into the game, to engage in whatever the thing is. And in London, you were running the London Marathon, and I was a spectathlete, which I like that word, but with World Vision, Team World Vision, the people watching that are supporting World Vision runners, which have an important role. Yeah, and it's an important role. But you had a moment where you didn't want to be on the sideline. Yeah. I was watching a young man who was running in the marathon, and he had an obvious disability, like cerebral palsy is what I believe he has. And he was running in the London Marathon. Yeah. And I'm standing on the sidelines. And I had thoughts of, I wish I was a runner. Maybe I want to be a runner. And I had kind of played around with, I'd done some training. I'd done a 5K, here and there. But mostly I was a couch potato, And so that really impacted me and helped me to see that, I have full use of all of my limbs. My body is healthy and works well. Why am I on the sidelines instead of in the race? Yeah. I have no desire to run a marathon, but there are so many things between couch potato and running a marathon that I can do and have done since, actually. Yeah. What's your race? And again, it comes back to this and it's not to be for the limelight. It's stepping into what's possible for you. Mm-hmm. And I think the cool part of this discovery is I have greatness within me. You have greatness within you that this belief was limiting. Whether that be a spelling bee or the quarterback in powder puff football or excelling with making a difference in people's lives in a network marketing business. What's your upfront? What's your upfront? Mm-hmm. I'm not saying behind the scenes is bad. What I'm saying is when we limit our possibility because we believe of how people will perceive us, mm-hmm. we've got a belief that's holding us back. And you're at a new place. Mm-hmm.
And I'm glad that I put this assignment in this course,
Me too.
because this one assignment has shifted your life. One assignment can shift your life. Take the assignment seriously. Do the work. Put the pen to the paper and allow yourself the freedom to dig deep. Because it's so hard to dig deep when we just think and don't write. Take the time to write. Take the time to think. Take the time to do the work, because it's in doing the work that the transformations and the discoveries will come. Just like this discovery.
Yep.
Anything else you want to share?
I don't think so.
Good experience.
Yeah, very good. And I am excited to see what comes next. It is going to be hard. I don't think it'll be an easy transition, because I've had these thoughts and these beliefs for decades.
Yeah.
Most of my life.
Yeah.
So it's going to take direct action and persistence and grit and all those things to catch myself thinking the limiting thought, and reframing situations.
And I think one of the things that's going to be important in this course is doing the hard work. And sometimes the hard work is stepping into the discomfortable. So, for example, to really move forward, Robin's going to need to step into some upfront things, because you're not going to move from a behind the scenes person to an upfront person because you changed a thought back here. You've got to step in and take action. And as you take action, you're going to discover, hey, I'm finding fulfillment here. I'm thriving here. Ooh, this is challenging here. And it's going to be hard because you've gotten so used to being
comfortable.
You've gotten so used to living in this limiting belief. And remember what we said earlier in this course is our limiting beliefs are in a way there to protect us. They protect us from the discomfort of stepping into, it's like, that's just me. I'm a behind the scenes person. I'm just a behind the scenes person. So now I don't have to have any discomfort out here. When my greatest fulfillment and my greatest asset, my greatest ability to contribute to our family and the world is out here. Comfort's back here. So I'm going to have to step into that. You're going to be challenged as we move forward in this to step into some uncomfortable things to show yourself that belief no longer has hold on you.
Yeah.
Y'all, do the work and let it move you forward. Not every assignment is going to be equal in your journey. This one was a profound one for Robin, but she had to put pen to paper to get there. Find your spot where you discover. There's going to be a lot of assignments and a lot of exercises to do. They'll give you opportunity to do so. We'll see you in Module 2.